Welcome to the J-Train podcast. This is J-Train, Jared Freid, coming to you live from the quarantine cabin on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. We are here Monday through Friday with your emails, your stories, your questions. I say it every episode. Let me say it again. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling a friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is how the whole thing works. You listen, you enjoy, you laugh, you let someone know. Pass the word of J-Train. Give the gift of J-Train this summer. And summertime is really when podcasts take a level up. That's when people are, and it's counterintuitive. You'd be like, well, Jared, everyone's doing, trips and beach and this. No. The summer is more alone time. More alone time. You might be out with groups, and as, the quarantine gets released and as people are allowed back into the wild, so to speak, there's more time for drives. There's more times at the beach. There's more times with walks. This is the time to let people know about the J-Train podcast. Let them know. Very excited. Oh, also, I'm on YouTube. YouTube, baby. Ooh, love YouTube. Hi, YouTube land. Go subscribe on YouTube. I want you there. I want you liking. I'm putting up episodes Monday through Friday. Plus, once you're on YouTube, I will start to have more videos there, more creative ideas and things and of that nature, so to speak. So go on YouTube, get subscribed. Very excited about today's guest, an OKP, original key player, a friend of the pod, a good friend of mine, James Mattern. Thank you for coming back.
Choo-choo, baby. Choo-choo on that train. What up, baby?
Great to have you. All of you need to go follow James on Instagram at the James Mattern. Go follow. He has a new podcast called The Commissioner of Comedy. Now, I love this podcast because it's really, I've listened, it's great. It is a lifestyle podcast in you kind of get to it via the bridge of stand-up comedy and the job and the work of it. Explain the podcast for the listeners at home.
This podcast is basically, it was formed as a comedy etiquette podcast of how to behave, like the inside baseball, the unspoken rules, but it's evolved already in a few short episodes to more of the celebration of your job as a culture and a community. And I've had people who aren't even comics who enjoy it. They're hearing inside shit, but they're also like, the passion that goes through it, I can apply to my life and to my job, and that's what this is.
That's totally true. I do that a lot with, and this isn't, my podcast is a funny advice podcast. To say, sometimes I bring on comedians because comedians to me are the least judgmental people. We get an email and we go, all right, let's unpack this shit. We love we love the juice. We love, you got a good story? Hit me with the juice. And whether it's a dating story or a roommate story and whatever. So I love having comedians on this show. So sometimes when we delve into comedy stories with people, I do have people write to me. They're like, oh man, I love hearing about the world of stand-up. And I think with stand-up comedy, it's so relatable to so many industries because it's an entrepreneurial endeavor. It is you're dealing with it's a lot of unspoken rules and unspoken hierarchy and who is above who and it's all this stuff that is sensitive and worth talking about for anything. Like I always talk about selling life insurance. I've taken a lot of best practices from doing that for a few years and put them into stand-up, and it would always help me. So I think all this stuff is transferable. I think what you're doing is great. Baby,
from your lips to God's ears. And I'm agnostic, so I'm starting to believe now.
Sure.
Based on what you just said, I'm a believer now.
Right? So I what days does it come out?
It drops. It's technically a Tuesday, but baby, I'm here for the people. You subscribe, you get that shit out Monday night, baby. It's coming out. It's coming straight to your ear balls. It's going right in, baby.
I love it. So everyone go follow James on Instagram. He's got the link in his bio, the James Mattern, at the James Mattern. It's going to be all over my account. It's all over my Instagram. I'll be pushing you to James. He's hilarious and a great friend of mine. And it's good to see you. So we text and the quarantine, the pandemic, the cloud of the pandemic floats into New York City, and you're like, what should I do? And I don't think I'm the reason, but you were asking, do I go to Vegas? And I was like, dude, if it's I'm encouraging the most comfortable space for you. Yes. Are you happy? So you went to Vegas. I remember when you went, you put on the mask and everything. Are you happy there?
Yeah. So I was told, so I'm staying with my boy, Mike, AKA Franny. I've known this cat. I mean, he's my blood, basically. Him and his lady, she's like, tell him to come here. She works as a flight attendant. She's like, have him wear a mask. Well, the first week of this shit in mid-March, you can't get a goddamn mask. Like, yeah. I'm talking to you, I'm talking to a couple other people, and a friend was like, you could wear a bandana. And right when she texted me that, I look, and for some reason, I have a United States flag bandana. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to wear that. I look like a patriotic Aggie or Zapatista from the 1870s. Like, I remember
the videos of you putting on Instagram story of you going, and it looked like you were like, it was like your stand. It was like this was your version of like a parade. It looked like. That's
it, baby. I didn't sit for the 2 hours. I got to Kennedy from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn in 8 minutes. It's like,
yeah, and that's an hour drive.
Something out of like Star Trek. On a Saturday afternoon, and I stood for the 2 hours I was waiting. I was so paranoid because I'm a germaphobe anyway. So
I know this
all y'all coming to this party now. Fuck you. I've been doing this for a minute. All right.
Well, so you, as a germaphobe, has it heightened your anxiety, or is this the same? And we're all just where you are. And I understand you just said you're like, welcome to my party, but are you higher than or at the same?
So the first week, right before the quarantine, I was like not scared. I'm like, I've either had it or I need to get it. It's probably not going to kill me. Mm-hmm. Dude, that Thursday night, I did gigs. Man, girls are grabbing my junk on 5th Street at 3 a.m. I mean, I was having a night. I went to Baselka. I was getting it in, baby. I was like, whatever, dog.
It doesn't.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, I was supposed to do a gig this weekend. It got postponed. I'm going to probably go out this weekend. I was going to last week, and then my buddy and I just got some pizzas and some liquor at his place. Hung out with his family. Cool. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go eat somewhere, I think this weekend maybe. I'm going to touch silverware. Also, now they're telling you that the chances of you catching it from touching shit is very chill.
Very minimal.
Just avoid strangers. And where I'm at, man, it's very minimal. There's 4 million in Nevada. There's been like under 6,000 cases, I think. Whatever, dog.
So what is the, I think I would be accused of, I'm in the New York bubble. You could accuse me of that. So, and I know when people call me that don't live in New York, they go, the tone of their voice change. How is it there? So I know that New York, as far as pandemic is concerned, it is generally like, okay, like it's not, living is, for me personally, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor, so personally, like I'm doing okay. How is the vibe in Nevada, Las Vegas? Like, is there people, like, are you in a place where people are like, fuck this thing? Or are you in a place where people are on board? I do think, because I do have this idea that the pandemic thoughts and a lot of is county to county. Like it changes, the emotional viewpoint is it changes depending on what stop on the highway you're at.
I think that when I came here and I went for walks, which became everyone's Super Bowl for those first 2 months, it's like, oh my God, I'm going on a walk. This is how excited I used to get doing Saturday gigs, knowing I could possibly hook up after or at least have drinks with my crew. And now it's like, I get to walk, and then people were socially distancing. People would go to the side. Everyone waves here. It's the opposite of New York. It's unbelievable. And I've noticed it's gotten a little more relaxed, and then places have been open for a couple weeks. I think people think it's a thing, but also are ready to live. And that's it. I don't think I'm seeing people working, my friends on their social media, they're bartending with gloves and masks. They're not bitching about it. They're happy to work. And people are going in. And people want to go out. This is what's crazy. I hate to say the New York bubble, especially when I'm not there. But it seems that people in New York and people in our industry tend to think that the rest of the population is petrified of this. And my experience is people are concerned, but they want to live. Everyone in comedy is like, there'll never be live shows again. No one's going to come out.
Well,
everyone I know who's not in show business tells me, get the fuck on it, get a gig now, and we'll go see you. People want to go, and they want to live.
Sure. And I think it's funny because, to kind of delve back into stand-up comedy and that subject, and everyone should go listen to James' podcast, The Commissioner of Comedy, the James Mattered on Instagram, before we get to the emails. But it is funny that stand-up comics, nobody hates stand-up comedy more than stand-up comics. like stand-ups, we all, like, there are moments where I've been at the show and I've been like, I don't know what these people are doing here. Like, and it is interesting because they're excited for a show and we're happy to go on stage, but there is a moment where you're like, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes out via what's going on right now with the pandemic and the quarantine, where people are like, if I don't want to be at the stand-up show, they don't. And you're like, no, get outside of yourself. People want to leave the house.
People want to leave the house. People need goddamn entertainment. J-Train, I hate to bring in our affiliations on this show, but
sure,
we should be neutral. But I know we have the same favorite basketball team. There's been no sports. Look at the ratings the Michael Jordan thing got. Last night is a treat. My boy Franny goes, I got you. And we're eating enchiladas like gentlemen. I'm drinking a nice Hendrix, chiller than a Penguins asshole. And he flips on 1988, Game 7, the Atlanta Hawks and the Boston Celtics. I watched it live. I've seen it on replay 2 or 3 times since. I'm screaming at fouls, at bullshit. I'm like, I love you, DJ. Get the ball out of your hand. That's how badly we need stuff. That game is 32 years old. 32 years old.
Well,
I need something to care about. And
you go, I'll take it. I just need, again, it's like why I have comics on this show. Yeah. I need the juice.
Give me the juice.
Give me the juice. So, listen, I'm pumped to have you here at the James Matter. And let's do some emails. You ready?
Baby, is ready.
I love it. At the James Matter, the Commissioner of Comedy. It's all over my Instagram. Go follow, go support, get involved. James is fucking hilarious. Things that go fart in the night. Thank you for the extra quarantine content, Feather. Recently, I was told by an ex-boyfriend that I am an unknowing sleep farter most nights. And not the dainty, odorless kind either. This is a problem as I am often self-conscious, and I don't think I am attractive enough, a self-rated 6'8", to laugh it off in the morning. So we might have some people that are new here. This is we haven't had the J-Train, the area code method. Guys or girls can use it, and it's face, body, personality. So she's saying that she is a 6'8", six face. That's a very good-looking person, especially if it happens regularly. How do I approach this issue with new partners? Is it something to pre-warn them about or wait and see if they bring it up? Looking forward to listening to your reply. P.S. If Shelby is looking around, I'd love a celeb lookalike. Shelby is out there, but we're putting celeb lookalikes on hold. James, what do you say to her? What's your response? Are you a sleep farter yourself? Have you been told this in your own life?
I don't know. I haven't been told it, but if there's no one next to me and I wake up, baby, I'm known for just whatever. I sound like Miles Davis, and I'm sure I sound very sexy, but who cares at this point? The world's over, so I'm just gonna let it out. I don't know if I do in the sleep. Sorry.
So I have been told by someone living in this apartment that I am a sleep farter, and
wow.
I would say that all of us are sleep farters. Like all of us, nobody is more or less human than the next person. So if I'm a sleep farter, then you're a sleep farter, then they're a sleep farter. So we're all farting while we're getting our Z's. So I think there's something very specific in this email she writes. Recently, I was told by an ex-boyfriend. I don't know the relationship that she has with her ex-boyfriend, but this is one of those things that if an ex tells you, it's kind of their way of negging you, I would think, right?
Yes. I would think so. Because what can you really do about it? Let's be honest. Like, she's like self-conscious. Baby, don't be self-conscious. What are you going to do? You're going to stop eating? You're going to look at a list of non-gassy foods? That's what you're going to live off? You got to live. You got to live, and you got to sleep. And 6, 8, 7, you get a pass. If you fart on me at 5 a.m, baby, whatever. 6, 8, 7, come on.
Here's what I'll say to her email. She also, so first of all, the ex-boyfriend, he's bringing this up to neg you, but also because if you're still talking, he wants to still have some control over you. So he's coming out there going, you're having whatever. To me, I can make the assumption that if you're talking to an ex and sleep farting comes up, this is a flirty conversation. Yeah. This is a conversation that is punchy. To say flirty, you might disagree, but it is at least punchy. The only way that you guys could be on this topic is for this conversation to be to goad at each other, to rib each other a little bit. So that being said, I don't take him as an unbiased source. The other thing she asked, she says, is it something to pre-warn them about? You should not pre-warn about your sleep farts.
No.
Right? Because if someone here, the reality is you're farting at night the same amount as we're all farting at night within 10%. You might do it 10% more. You might do it 10% less.
Yeah.
But when you pre-warn it, you are now allowing the person you're with to create a farter of their own inventions. So what you're doing is you're letting them assume that they're farting. You're letting them imagine that you're farting 1,000 times more than them, which is not the case.
Yes, you're letting the mind go, and it's like, how bad is it? How loud? How smell? So don't just let them deal with it as is. If they might not ever discover it. The dude might just pass out for 8 hours.
Totally. And here's the last part of it. I totally agree with everything you just said. The last part of it is no one has ever ended a relationship because their partner sleep farted.
Well, I told you I'm going out this weekend. Anything can happen. I'll tell you this.
Have you ever heard a girl fart in her sleep and thought, well, I got to end this thing?
No, I have not.
Right?
But I have slept next to some smelly girls, and I'll be like, I don't know how long I can go with this.
Well, smelly is different than farty. Smelly is my girlfriend Jess in the background just went, oh my God. I'm just saying, smelly is a different predicament than farty. Farty, it happened once, we get over it, we move on.
We're all human.
We're all human. So I have never been in a position where a guy I've hung out with been like, yeah, we didn't make it. We actually just got a divorce. She kept farting in her sleep. And I've also never said that. I've had to end it too. Yeah. So lean on 2 men sitting here telling you that we have never had that experience. And it is in the world of, in life, you want to beg for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. And I think that's the way to go with farting in your sleep.
It's the opposite of how you were raised. Everyone's like, you should say please. And then you realize every time you ask, you get ugats. And then after you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Good. There you go. It's sad, but this is how it is. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. We're here with James Mattern at the James Mattern. Go, go, go. Follow now, the Commissioner of Comedy. Great podcast, brand new, for your listening pleasure on Tuesdays, but James will release it anytime you want. Land of Casual. Just email me. You ready for an episode? I'll send you one out of recording.
Just going to send you a personal episode.
Let's do it. We'll do
big fan of the show. Thanks for the amazing advice. Tickle, tickle. I'm writing in because since the beginning of quarantine, I matched with a guy on Bumble who happened to go to the same high school as me. We have been following each other on Instagram for years, so it was very natural moving in the conversation to Instagram. I'm writing from Mexico, so for context, we still have like a month ahead to stay at home. When we chatted on Bumble, he said we should go on a date when coronavirus is over, but that was all. We are constantly replying to each other's stories, and the conversation is good. I'm enjoying it, but I'm kind of worried that since everything is over Instagram, he just sees me as a future hookup. Since Instagram is the kind of casual. He does things like sending me over private message my photos to tell me I look cute instead of simply commenting over the photo. I think this is a fuckboy move, LOL. Do you think it is better to keep the conversation going on until quarantine is over when we can actually meet in person? Or would you advise making a point and sliding my number, letting him know I'm looking forward to meeting up when this is over? Thanks in advance for all the amazing advice. I've shared the pod, all my friends, and we're starting a Mexican J-Train fan base. I love it. How do you say thank you in Spanish?
Gracias.
Gracias. Yeah, gracias. Okay. So what do you think, Mr. Madden, James Madden? What do you think?
Baby, J-Train podcast, todo tiempo, baby. Todo tiempo. Come on. So here's the thing. I think there's a lot of this going on with single people. It seems like exes and randos and people are communicating. No one knows when this is going to end, where we can see each other. So how deep do you go in with it? That's the thing.
Sure.
All due respect, some people might want to just get together and form a relationship out of this. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. I'm feeling the minute the lanes open up in this race, dude, people need to get some glue out. People need to get some aggression out. I think the first week to 6 is going to be a lot of just let it all out. It's going to be a Royal Rumble. Every 3 minutes, just go and get someone else. It's just, we got to get it out. It's especially now. I mean, everything has just gone tits up. People got to get it out. I don't think anyone is looking for a relationship right out of the gate right now. That would be my assumption.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. It is, and I think you have to be realistic with what you want and you have to come to the conclusion that what I want is okay to want. That doesn't mean the people I'm talking to want the same thing.
Yes.
So for this woman who's writing in, I get the same vibe she's getting. Especially when you know someone from high school and you match on an app, what they're doing, and since you guys have followed each other for years, since you matched on the app, you have now let them know a thought in your head, and that to me is the reason that this guy is now messaging you over DM. He's not messaging you over DM. Here, you have to understand that when you match with someone that you've known for years, that person did have years to pursue you.
Yes.
And the reason they didn't pursue you, and I know this is harsh, maybe this is very honest, but the reason they didn't pursue you is because the embarrassment, they thought the embarrassment of getting turned down was worse than the positives of getting to be with you. So what do I mean by that? So you've known this guy since high school. You guys have followed each other on Instagram for years. He has been able to DM you for years. He could have at any point been like, hey, I think you're really cute. I think you look great in these pictures. Let's go for a date. And he didn't do that. The only time he started doing that is when he got the piece of information out of your brain that said you thought he was attractive, and the only reason he got that was from swiping on the dating app. So listen, I'm not above this. I am giving you this information because I have done this. I have matched with people on dating apps where I knew them from other contexts, and then the minute I knew that they thought I was good looking or had an attraction to me because of the dating app, now I could pursue, and I could pursue with what I wanted, not with the idea of what they might want. Do you understand? Am I making sense here?
Absolutely. And if you don't mind me throwing this at you, is there also a chance, because I'm reading everyone's posts on social media and just from my own life right now, and I mentioned this briefly a second ago, it seems like exes are communicating a lot more. Is there a thing with this where the familiarity, as we're in this very unfamiliar term, where we're locked in and there's a pandemic, something that you can touch, something you know, other than adding any more variables and unknowns to your life right now?
Well, you're absolutely right. Also, there's no chance to find new people. So you're going, again, back to what you're saying. Because of the pandemic, because of the quarantine, He is now on a dating app where he can't be casual with anyone he meets on that dating app because you guys have this background with each other. Now you are someone that he knows, and it's an easy landing spot. It's an easy person to communicate with DM. All the work has been done for him. And just like exes come back, exes are coming back during quarantine because you can't go to a bar to meet someone new. There's no chance at meeting the ghost of relationships, futures that you've built in your head. So that's why your exes are coming back. The reason the guy from high school who you matched on the dating app is being so persistent and so aggressive over Instagram is because you are a new customer that has already trust with him. And so that plays into it. So all we're saying here is you can't live by what he wants. You have to live by you want. What you want, what it sounds like, is you want a date. So I would send him a DM being like, oh, hey, I don't really like to DM this much. I just want to send, here's my number. I would say, I'm not a really big DMer. Blame it on I'm not a big DMer. That's a vague enough thing.
Great.
Here's my number. Let me know when you're ready to go on that date once things clear up. Now you're out. Now you back away. Now you know, because right now all he's doing is showing you that he's up for casual. He's made no promises. He's mentioned a date, but he hasn't made a date. So take him at his word. But you, the listener, the emailer, you shouldn't settle for less, because what I see happening is we get out of quarantine, or you get out of quarantine, whenever it is, and this guy's like, hey, I'm out, or hey, come over. And because you guys have built up all these DM trust, messages, now, now he thinks he has the right to, but that doesn't mean you have to say yes to that, right?
Absolutely. But baby, you're so smart to take a line from my pops. You should run for president, baby. I'm declaring it now.
No,
J-Train 2024. I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas 2024. I promise to not drink gin when I do interviews at 11 in the morning with Anderson Cooper. That's my whole platform.
We are sponsored, people. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Quip. Quip. I got to say, a good lifestyle starts with a routine. And what I love about Quip is it keeps you on track. You think you brush your teeth well. You think you do. You're pretty sure you do. Well, you don't. Quip has a timer on it, so it lets you know it gives a little pulse every 30 seconds to get the 4 quadrants of your mouth. I didn't even know my mouth had quadrants before I started using Quip. And again, we're at that age, you're at that age, where it's too late to ask about brushing your teeth. It's too late. You ever had the dentist be like, hey, do you know what you're doing in there? And you're like, I know, I'm a big boy. Quip is there kind of to reteach you, teach an old dog new tricks. And I love that about them, because we all need that. 75% of us use old, worn-out bristles, too. That's ineffective. And even more people forget to floss daily. Good health starts with good habits. If you have good habits, you'll have good teeth. So what's a good habit? That means brushing for 2 minutes twice a day and flossing regularly. Right now, some of you just look down at the ground because you're like, I hope no one sees me because I don't do those things. Quip makes it easy by delivering all the oral care essentials you need to brush and floss better. Again, this is one of those things that you get lazy with. You say, I'll go to the store next week. I'll get the new toothbrush next week. I'll get the floss next week. No. Let Quip work for you. Get you on a schedule. There is no next week. The mailman or mailwoman shows up and goes, hey, here's a new brush. Time to get brushing. Dentists recommend you brush for 2 minutes, and Quip helps you do it every time, paired with Quip's anti-cavity toothpaste. In mint or watermelon, you get all the ingredients teeth actually need and none they don't. Quip has an eco-friendly, refillable floss. That's the hardest sentence to say ever. Quip has an eco-friendly, refillable floss with a dispenser you keep for life, an expanding string that helps to clean in between. Quip brush head, toothpaste, and floss refills are automatically delivered on a dentist-recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5 each. A friendly reminder when it's time for a refresh and to stay committed to your oral health, and shipping is free. Join over 3 million happy customers and practice good oral care easily and affordably with Quip. starting at $25. And if you go to getquip.com/JTrain, let me repeat that. Getquip.com/JTrain. Right now, you'll get your first refill free. That's free. That's your first refill free at getquip.com/JTrain. Let me spell it. GETQUIP.com/JTrain. That's getquip.com/JTrain for your first refill free. Quip, the good habits company. JTrain podcast at gmail.com. JTrain podcast at gmail.com. Let's do, this is a long one. Are you ready for a long one?
Baby, we got nothing but a pandemic in front of us. Let's go.
That's right. We got nothing to do. I do think I like doing long ones with you because you know the show. You know the deal.
I love this show. I am the show.
I've been with my boyfriend for 3.5 years. We've been living together for 2. We live in Moscow. I am international, baby.
Don't tell me how to say thank you in Russian, dog.
Yeah.
I'll still say gracias. It's still gracias.
Gracias, Moscow. Yeah. Todo tiempo. He's Russian. I'm American. We're both 26 if you need the biographical info. And decided to move in together so that we could afford a more modern, non-Soviet era apartment. We agreed to split the rent 50-50. It was a great setup, much cheaper than renting an older apartment alone. About a year after we moved in together, he quit his job to start a business with his friend. At the time, I wasn't making enough money to pay more than 50-50. He paid his half from income and savings, but eventually the business had to be sold because there wasn't any money left to keep it running. In the interim between the failing of the business and him finding a new job, it fell to me to find more money for us. It was very difficult, and I was constantly stressed. Even after he found a job with loans from school and the business, he barely had anything left over to pay bills with. His situation hasn't changed much in the last year. However, it probably pushed me to seek out better jobs, and I've managed to start earning almost double what I was a year ago. Now I'm not as stressed, but I'm still paying the bills. That's an interesting thing, where it's like his shit didn't work out, but it pushed her to get better job. Everything has its pluses and minuses, even though I wouldn't want to be in this situation. I understand his situation. This was fine for a month or 2 months. It's been about 10 months now. We are better off than we were a year ago, but in general, I still pay all of the bills. It's not that I mind paying the bills. It's more that I feel I was forced into this breadwinner provider role unwillingly. If I had known that this was what I was possibly signing up for, then okay. But I didn't commit to him to this extent of taking care of him financially for such a long period of time. I love him very much, and I'm happy to take care of us, but I didn't really move abroad with the intention of becoming tied down to slightly better off than paycheck to paycheck life and having to financially support someone. I still want to live with him. We have a dog now, and generally I enjoy our life together, but I feel like I'm not saving for my future and paying down loans. I moved abroad to travel more, and I feel like somehow I've fallen into this grind to pay all the bills. I feel like if this situation was reversed, he would never mention his paying of all the bills. He claims his ideal situation would be taking care of me and giving me the freedom to do whatever I want without having to worry. I just don't see a light at the end of the tunnel money-wise, but I'm not sure what to do about it, especially when I do enjoy all the other aspects of our relationship. What should I do? What is the best way to deal with the situation? Is this even a problem? Plus, COVID, so now my visa situation is difficult too. Side note, I wanted to move to a Soviet apartment because they're usually cheaper, but usually here, after it's all said and done, you're paying the equivalent of 3 months rent up front to move into an apartment, which is a large chunk of cash to have on hand. So she basically is saying, I'd move to the cheaper place, but that's an actual bigger investment of money I don't have to go. They went from the cheaper to the more expensive. He loses his job, and then to go back to the cheaper, it costs more. I understand that. So, James, what do you think she's got to do?
First of all, I kind of knew where that was going based on the phrasing when she said, went into business, ... with a friend. When that friend is after business, the business never succeeds in situations like that. If it was like him and his buddy formed a business, okay, that I think you're going to tell me the business did well. But if you put friend after it, it's kind of like, even I don't know if the friend fucked up. I don't know what happened, but it's kind of like with a guy. Like, I could kind of get the vibe that you don't like the friend, and that was maybe a shaky thing. Yes.
It is very interesting that the way you say these things says everything, yes. Where she...
With a friend.
Let me read that again. So in the... I mean, when she called it the failing of the business, I chilled that went down my spine. Yeah. So after about a year, we moved in together. He quit his job to start a business with his friend.
Yeah. Never sounds good. With his friend sounds like his friend was like, let's start a goddamn business. But if it was like, yo, him and his friend went into business together, they went and started a business, that sounds good. But went into business with a friend sounds like the friend got you drunk. Is like, come on, man. Yeah. What people want are newspapers in 2020. Let's start a newspaper. But we're going to be digital too. No, we hand it out for a quarter. What the fuck? Sure. Keep the shots coming. That's what it sounds like to me.
So what do you think she does?
It's tough because everyone is more than happy to take care of the people they love. If you find someone who really means something to you and you care about them, you want to take care of them, I think most people. But at this point, I think the dynamic, you kind of almost feel like a mother, right? Yeah, you need lunch money. Do you need this? I'm taking care of this for us.
Well, it is interesting that you say feels like a mother because I was going to use another word, but it seems like she feels stuck. Sure. And she went into a situation like, listen, the honeymoon period of a relationship is a lot of different things. There's like the first few months when you're just getting to know each other, but then it's like when you move in together, it's this like fun thing where you're both single and you have no kids, or you're both together and you have no kids and you guys can go out anytime you want. And then, honeymoon period changes for everything. When you say she's like a mother, she's stuck. When you become a parent, you are, it's for lack of there's better ways to put it, but you are stuck in the position of, I have to take care of this human person, and I have to put things like traveling and all these these luxury things in life aside because the kid comes first. And right now, she is a mother to this boyfriend because him and keeping them afloat is coming ahead of everything else, which it should. But when you have a kid, that is a thought out decision between two people. That is a joint partnership. Right now, she's the CEO of this company. I love her email. I think it's a great email. And I think she's like very rational about the whole thing. She's like, I love this person and the relationship is great, but I have been kind of slowly moved into a management position that I never asked for.
A relationship, in a sense, and I'm not good at them and whatever, and I'm not really into them, but it seems like it needs to be two friends playing tennis, not a match where we're going to play competitive. We just want to get the exercise. But for that, it needs to be, I hit to you, you hit back. I hit to you and hit back. And it seems like in a situation like this, she's hitting to him and he's hitting the motherfucker into the net. And that gets frustrating because she's like, oh man, I just want to do this. I want to play. I
just want to rally.
I want to rally. This is what it is. And this fucking dude right now, man, because his friend is his hitting coach, he's knocking the ball out of bounds and hitting in the fucking net.
Here's what she needs.
Tennis training with his friend.
So I think I think it's right now so vague and so like such a huge mountain that she's seeing it as like, oh my God, I got to tell him. And then he's got to figure out where to get the money from. And here's what she needs to do. What she wrote to me is what she says to him. I understand his situation. This was fine for a month or 2 months. It's been 10 now. What is the plan? How do we work together to get you and I in a better place than we were yesterday? And she's already started talking about the plan. She's bringing up, okay, we can go to a cheaper apartment, but that costs more to go to the cheap. She's already speaking in the terms she needs to speak with him. But I think the fear is that you're offending him. No. Hey, this is a situation that I thought was going to be for this many months. I am now paying all the bills, and I get that you want to be taking care of me. So how do we get to that goal? What are you doing to get to that goal? How do we together figure out a way? And that might result in him going, well, I do have the money for this. Like, I think right now, because again, like, the answer to 99% of these emails is communication, but I think it's how you're going to say it. And the how is, hey, I understand that we're both in this situation. She didn't say this in her email, but I would assume she knew the risks involved in him starting a company. Wouldn't you? And if she did know that, because I would expect her to be more angry. But I'm assuming she knew the risks that came with the company. And you could say that to him. I knew that when you started a company, it was going to be hard. It didn't work out. It sucks. But we have to stop putting good money after bad. So right now, I need to know your plan to get back to that 50-50 thing that we were doing before that made me love our relationship just as much as I always have.
The question is, what's next? I hate to break it to everybody. I think your listeners are probably the most intelligent listeners of anyone, so they know this. We're going to fail quite a bit. The key is, do you stay down or do you go to the next? You can't wallow in the shit. So you knock me down, I'm going to get up and I'm going to hit you, motherfucker.
Totally. And when you say you start, and I think, like, James, you picked out of the email the most important part. When you say you started a business with your friend, it sounds very much like, yeah, you failed over there. No. You have to let this guy know that, like, you're on the team and you need the team to get better. Hey, our team took a loss. That's okay. Now we got to prepare for next week. And
how do we win?
How do we win? How do we get to next week? And my family says this a lot. There's a famous Bill Belichick, the coach of the Patriots. He has a quote where they got, I think it was like a few seasons ago, where the Patriots got killed by the Tennessee Titans. I think they lost by 50 points, or it was maybe whatever it was. They lost it was a regular season game and they lost huge. And the next week they're playing the Cleveland Browns. So Bill Belichick in the post-game conference, he goes on stage and they're asking him questions about, man, you just got beat. You got beat. Do you think it's the end of Brady? Do you think it's the end of this? And he just kept answering, we're on to Cleveland.
Yep.
We're on to Cleveland. It wasn't I'm on to Cleveland. It wasn't they're on to Cleveland. We are moving on to Cleveland. We're on to the next week. So for this woman who's writing in, you have to admit to the past. You have to try to fix the mistakes from the past, but you have to move towards, what is our plan to beat Cleveland? What's our plan to win next week? What's our plan to get back to the 50-50? Because that's the situation I felt the most comfortable with. And I know it might not happen next week, but what's the plan to make next week better than this week? And I think that makes it an easier conversation, where it's not accusatory, because I'm sure he feels sad that his business failed. It's not, you're an idiot. It's, we are a team in this, and that's how we signed up. So what are we going to do? We are sponsored, people. This episode of the J-Train Podcast is brought to you by Roman. Have you ever not been able to not get it up? That sucks. A little limp penis is no fun. We've all been there. You're sitting there looking down at yourself. You're going, come on, man. Get it together. We're at the show. It's time for you to put on the show. And anyone who's dealt with it knows how awkward it can be to talk about in person. Luckily, there's a simple, convenient solution to get the treatment you need without leaving the couch. Our friends at Roman have spent years building a digital platform that can connect you with a doctor licensed in your state, all from the comfort of home. Roman makes it convenient to get the treatment you need right from home. Just grab your phone, complete a free online visit, and you'll hear back from a U.S. licensed physician within 24 hours. And if the doctor decides that treatment is right for you, your medication can be shipped right to your door with free 2-day shipping. You also get free unlimited follow-ups with your doctor anytime you have questions or want to adjust your treatment plan. With Roman, there are no commitments and you can cancel anytime. I got to say, I love what Roman's doing, is because they're taking the emotion out of this thing. They're trying to say, hey, if you're having problems in the bedroom, we can help you out, and you don't have to sit in the waiting room and look at the magazines and sit there and have to talk to someone. We can take out some of the awkwardness of this process to get you on the better way. So if you're struggling with ED, stay home. and go to GetRoman.com/JTrain. That's GetRoman.com/JTrain for a free online visit and free 2-day shipping. That's GetRoman.com/JTrain for a free online visit and free 2-day shipping. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com, JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here with James Mattern at the James Mattern on Instagram, the commissioner of comedy. Go follow, go get involved. Let's do this one. Jared, I feel as if guys do not see me as girlfriend material. They don't want the responsibility or commitment. Some of them want to be friends with benefits or friends but not see other people, so they don't have that added pressure or responsibility. For my last 2 previous relationships, it was a struggle in the beginning because they didn't want to want the label, but then they finally came around to it. I don't give these men ultimatums. It's very frustrating. What can I work on myself so that guys see me as girlfriend material? Mr. Mattern, what do you think of this email?
First of all, thank you, Mr. Train. I don't think that gets said nearly enough. That's nearly enough in the world. Thank you, Mr. Train.
That's right. Do you believe? So I'll position the question,
please,
because this is her words. Do you believe in such a thing as girlfriend material?
Absolutely. There clearly are women that you can tell, and I've said this as someone, and I'll admit it again. I do not particularly like relationships. My buddy's wife was like, so hey, are you thinking about getting married? I am, but man, I also just want to watch Lost when I want to, and then eat this and not. I'm wired horribly, so it's what it is. So some people aren't looking for that, but I can tell who would be a smart decision to be in a relationship with. I think that's out there. Yes.
Well, what do you think? Let me try and translate what you just said, because the words you just said to someone, because like to me, what you just said is that there's someone that will fit my idiosyncrasy, like my craziness. So there is someone out there that could fit your particular puzzle piece. That's what it sounded like you just said.
I think there is. You hope there is. I mean, you've watched enough movies and heard enough songs where supposedly that happens.
Sure.
But I can tell it's interesting. You give all this advice. I've discussed this a lot. Seems like people can't advise themselves.
Very difficult.
I'm good at giving advice, I think, but I can't. I call you, and I can't figure out for me.
I say it on this podcast all the time. All this advice is easy to give. It's way harder to take.
Yes.
It is way easier to give advice than it is to take advice. And I acknowledge that. And I'm talking out of my ass a lot of the times. And a lot of the guests here are talking out of their ass. But we're giving perspective. But I think, it's interesting that the phrase girlfriend material, the way she wrote it in the email and the way you described it is totally different.
I guess so. Because I'm saying if I can take myself out of the equation and just look objectively, I can see certain women, and I can also see when my female friends are asking me about a dude, I can objectively go, this fits just on paper what I think would be a good girlfriend or boyfriend. Now, a lot of things in theory are really good on paper. Communism is pretty good on paper, but the fact is it doesn't always work out that way. But on paper, I can tell, okay, this person seems like someone who'd be very stable in a relationship.
But the thing is, when she writes in, I feel as if guys don't see me as girlfriend material. I don't walk the streets going, that girl should could be a girlfriend. That girl could not. That girl could. I don't do that generally. When it comes to someone for me, of course you're doing that. But it's not whether they're when she writes in guys don't see me as girlfriend material. To me, I translate it as she thinks there's something about her that all guys are seeing and going, oh, that's someone I would want to fuck and not someone I would ever want to date. And I don't believe that to be true, like by a look. Yeah.
Not by a look. It's definitely not a look, but I mean, there could be, it's in the ways you act in that. I mean, that's it. I mean, there's girls that I've loved. I'd say like the girl who's my favorite girl is probably the girlfriend that I would say on paper was my best girlfriend. And that don't make sense to people. There's someone I probably really enjoyed being with more, but there was someone else that was like, I should have married that person because absolutely wonderful, checks all the boxes of who you want to grow old with.
Yeah.
If there is a deathbed, that's someone to visit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I guess what I'm trying to differentiate is because I think this I would never get this email I don't get this email from a man. The email that says, I don't think women see me as boyfriend material. And it feels very female, getting it. What I'll say to her, she writes something, for my last 2 relationships, it was a struggle in the beginning because they didn't want to label, but then they finally came around to it. Yeah. I think if you're in a situation where you're asking people to come around to something, then they don't want the same things as you. Yeah. And I think this isn't about you being girlfriend material or not. It's you taking a look in the mirror and being okay with the things you want. And you are, if you think of yourself like a store, and you sell, and your store sells, I don't know, you're a bodega that sells, groceries and alcohol, and someone comes into your store and they go, I want a cupcake. And you wouldn't just go run around and bake a cupcake. You go, this store doesn't sell cupcakes. I'm sorry, time to go. You wouldn't say to yourself, well, how could you see me as a cupcake store? No. You would go, I sell what I sell. You can look through all the racks and you can buy whatever you'd like from here, but I'm not going to change my business for anyone that walks in the door. So I think when you're asking people to come around to it, she says, I don't give these men ultimatums. I don't think you should be afraid of ultimatums. On my other podcast with Jordana, she loves ultimatums. I don't think that's I think that word gets a bad rap. I think you can say to people, hey, we had a great time. You could say to anyone you meet, hey, I have a great time with you. I'm looking for someone to be serious. And they can say no to that. And that's not them saying no to you as a girlfriend material. They're saying no to you as a situation. Right?
But I think this is a theme, and I really respect it. You should want what you want. And if someone doesn't want that, know that going forward. So either you part ways or you can hook up occasionally for a fun hookup because you know what that person is. But once again, I think there's so much pressure on people. Was she saying it didn't work? I can tell it just sounds like she feels that these are losses. Let's go back one question. On to Cleveland next week. We're on to Cleveland. They're not losses. You're not supposed to have 8 great relationships in your life. It's going to be an ending.
To that point, and my advice to her, and it seems like counterintuitive, but to not take these things personally. Like when someone says to you, hey, I'm just looking to hook up, you go, that's fine for you, but that won't make me feel good. So I got to go. I'm on to Cleveland. I'm out of here. Yeah, that's it. So but it's I do understand you're in this relationship. You're trying to win it. You're trying to get this. You're like, I see everything you are. I see how you could be the person I want you to be. I just need you to shift this little bit. And it's like, no. You're trying to shift someone who didn't come there to be shifted. So why not say to that person, hey, and what happens a lot of times when you hold your standard, when you say, nah, that's not the situation for me, they come back to your store and they go, you know what? I don't want cupcakes anymore. I do want a little, I do want White Claw, and you happen to sell that.
Boy, I love that those are the two. It's one or the other that night. Fuck, man, I need a cupcake. We have White Claw. Okay, I'm ready for White Claw. But
I think she needs to get out of this whole thing of girlfriend material. I think if you're stuck on that, you're stuck on what society that you're trying to fit this. There's no right answers. If anything, we found from this podcast, I get hundreds of emails a week. If there was right answers, we'd all know those answers and it would be easy. It's not easy. The only easy thing you can do is drive your bus and be like, hey, I do this, I sell this. I'm selling a relationship right now, and you can't come in here and buy anything you want, and I'm not going to just go search for the thing you want to convince you to keep shopping here.
Yeah, I was looking up for this book. I would like to quote. I listened to a podcast with a couple pro coaches and a writer, and they discussed this book. And please forgive my ignorance, but there's a great quote. It's about tennis techniques, and it's about stop worrying about what you can or can't be. Be present and just remind yourself what you are trying to accomplish. So if you are trying to accomplish a relationship, don't worry about fitting a mold of being relationship material. Forget even what I said. You're your own relationship material. So that's what it's about. Get what you want out of it. Don't try to put yourself something, because you will ultimately fail at that point. Just be the best you in a relationship that you can be.
And you know what? To that point, it's you being honest.
Yes.
You know, like that is you being, and the most honest person is always the one that goes, what the fuck's going on here? Why are you acting crazy? That person's lying to you. So when you act honest, or you go, and if your honest goal is like, I just want to get to know this person more to see if they're my tennis partner for life, you're going to be, it's not about, oh, well, I'm not girlfriend enough. I'm not this enough. No. You are you. You are fine. You are good. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here with James Mattern. I love James Mattern at the James Mattern. Go follow on Instagram. The Commissioner of Comedy. Go. Every Tuesday or whenever you want. You get that podcast. Let's do one more email. Is that okay?
Baby, it's more than okay. Also, real quick, if you follow me on the James Mattern, I had this idea. Yo, area code me. I don't give a fuck. I want to know where I am. I want to know where in the country I am. Area code the kid. Let's go.
He's not afraid. I am. Do not area code me.
I will be after I see that first 422 and shit. They're not gonna be like,
fuck that, man.
I'm gonna call you and be like, just make an announcement. Stop the shit tomorrow on the podcast.
Is he busy or is he over it? I met this guy a year ago. We went on a few dates that went really well before summertime. We tried to meet up again throughout the summer, but I was living in South Jersey during the week, and he was in the city and was always busy on weekends. That's a bad sign, okay? That's a bad sign. He's busy on his free time? Yeah, he didn't want to. Eventually, he tells me he's got an exclusive with someone else. Okay, I could have told you that. I don't hear from him until February of this year because all of a sudden he's single again and hit me up within a week of his last relationship ending. Yeah, we met up for drinks and it feels like we picked up right where we left off, even though it's kind of a red flag that he reached out so quickly. I feel like we have such a good connection and I can actually see a future with him. I didn't get to see him again due to quarantine, even though he asked me to stay over his place a few times. I haven't heard from him in 2 months, and I think it's because he's not much of a texter and more of a text-only-to-make-plans kind of guy. But I'm not sure. I've been quarantining in South Jersey, but we'll head back to Hoboken this weekend. I hit him up to see if he'd be down to go on a walk around Central Park and haven't heard from him. Do you think he's over it since I haven't heard from him in so long? My best friend saw his profile pop up on Hinge. Do you think he's trying to see what's better out there? What kills me is that I had a really good connection with him, and I don't find that often. I know it sounds pathetic, but I don't know how to move on from this. Would love to hear your thoughts. So what do you think, Mr. Mad Dog Mattern, James Mattern? What do you think?
Once again, it's such a treat to be here and to be asked these questions and be with you, my dear friend. I think there's probably similarity to a past question on this episode. I think everyone's just trying to figure out. We're walking on broken ice. Mm-hmm. There's water underneath us. We don't know what it is. We're trying to see what we can get into. I think this dude's probably lining up a bunch of potential fun when the lanes open up.
I want the listener to hear exactly what James just said because he's saying it kinder than I'm about to say it. He's lining up a lot of potential fun. Now, I know how this could be taken because she wrote at the end of her email, what kills me is that I had a really good connection with him, and I don't find that often. Well, that's okay. I'm sorry. This guy wants to hook up and nothing more. That's all he wants. The reason you guys, he wants to hook up and hang out with you at his convenience. She writes something very specific. She writes, I think it's because he's not much of a texter and more of a text only to make plans kind of guy. No. I think he's a text only to get blowjobs type of guy. That's why he asked you to stay over the quarantine. It became really easy for him to text you to come over when it was just you coming over. It became really hard to hang out when it was his weekend, when he was busy on weekends because it was the summertime. So to me, you can connect with people. I know she's so on this idea that she doesn't connect with a lot of people, but you're going to connect with more people. Just because you connected with this guy on 1 or 3 dates, and then and the other thing that's more suspect about it is that he contacted you a week after he broke up. When you break up with someone, you go to the cast of characters who were willing to say yes to your naked body before, because it takes less work than meeting new people while you have your weak, non-worked out girlfriend muscles. When you're in a relationship, you lose the single muscles. So you go back to people who you've already used those single muscles on to try and get quick hookups that are more exciting than the relationship you were in, but less exciting than new people you could hypothetically meet at the bar. Does this all make sense to you, James?
Absolutely. It's You latch on to what's close, what's familiar. There's less
and what's easier.
Openness. You have to be real open when you meet someone, and there's a scariness to that. And now it's just like, hey, remember we had 3 good conversations? Let's have number 4.
She says, do you think it's over since I haven't heard from him in so long? No. This guy will be back. This guy will message you, but it will not be to inconvenience his own life.
Yeah.
It will be a convenience text. It'll be, hey, I'm out right now. Hey, I can do drinks this week now at Thursday at 11, from 11 to 11:15, as long as you come over after. I understand it's almost as if it's like she's at the blackjack table and she started out winning $100, and then and then all of a sudden hits a bad run of cards, and now she's down to her last 5, and she's like, well, I got to get back to that. I'll leave the table as soon as I'm up 100 like I was before.
Chasing
No. Leave with your $5. Leave the table.
Yeah.
JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. James Mattern, thank you for coming on.
Buddy, what an absolute pleasure every time to be here with this wonderful show. You are so goddamn good, baby. You hit the nail on the head that the Carpenters Union should just pay you dues. That's what I'm saying, baby. You're so good.
I love you, buddy.
It's good that you're telling people, get what you want, because I'm telling you, after pandemics, after unrest, the roaring 20s, 1969, people are going to fuck. So if you don't want to just fuck casually right now, you better tell people up front, because that's what's going to happen, God willing, in the fall and in 2021. People are like, man, the world was coming to an end. Shit, I'm going to get pregnant this weekend. I hate to tell you, we're in phase 2 in Vegas. I'm getting fucking pregnant. I'm getting knocked the fuck up this weekend. Go
follow James Mattern at the James Mattern on Instagram. The Commissioner of Comedy is the podcast. Go. I'm Jared Freid. Keep sending your emails. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram at Jared Freid. We'll be back next episode. Boom.